Much for waiting. We did have an executive session addressing personnel matters and litigation, and we try never to go over to the appointed time, but we knew it wasn't going to work tonight, so thank you for waiting. Welcome to the voting meeting, the August voting meeting of the Exeter Township School District Board of Directors. Most of what you will hear tonight has been reviewed and worked on during our workshop last week, but tonight we will formally approve the any consensus or decisions that are made. So our first item on the agenda is Mr. Pitts, Director of Facilities.
Good evening. Thank you for having me tonight. It was about 10 years and 1 week ago that the first time I presented to the board. I had been here about 6 weeks when Mr. Ernie Wursler came to me and said, "You have to give a board report in a couple of weeks." I'm like, okay. He gave me some advice. He said, be brief, get to the point, tell them what's going on with the projects, tell them that we'll be ready for the school year, and then sit down. So I'll move the bottom line up front in here. I'll go backwards in the order. The department is ready to support the school year, and we're all set with our checks and rechecks. Most of the summer projects have already completed, all the big ones have, with the exception that the paving project added an additional aspect this year. One of the paving trucks backed into Lorraine Elementary, if you haven't heard that already. So we have an insurance claim through their contractor to get that fixed. And because of the matching of bricks and everything else, I'm still working on estimates, but that'll be a delay. It will be a small group room that Christy will not have available. Painting projects, flooring projects should finish up this week. Otherwise, the things we expected to get during the summer done have been completed. In the past, I've given an overall view of the buildings, the staff, the things like that. But since it's a 10-year anniversary, I figured I would go into something a little bit different. What you should have in your packets are a bunch of statistics. And what I did is I tried to tip the original benchmarking report that actually reported things before I got here, and the last benchmarking report that PASBO did back in the spring. Tried to just get some overall numbers and some trends. It was very interesting to look at it. Our overall square footage changed from 829 up to 933. That was a 12% increase. Custodial staff increased by 3, which is only a 10% increase. Square foot per custodian, 25,000 is what it was when I started here. It's up to 29, so we're more efficient. We've done a lot more automation with equipment. The median for PA on the last benchmarking was 23.5. So we're definitely doing more with less. Likewise with the maintenance staff and the grounds area, we're pretty much in the median. Median for the state is 50 acres. We're about 62, not a big jump. The interesting part comes when you get into the numbers. The general fund used to be close to 47 million, or it was when I first got here. And this is, I think, 13, 14 numbers. Well, the general fund was 64,000. That was a 37.6% increase. Down below the blocks, you see I kind of estimated what a 2% inflation rate would be, and that would be 22% over those 10 years. The operations and maintenance budget did increased 18% below that 22. Cost per square foot, again, we grew in the amount of area we had. Actually only grew at 5%. So that, again, is a good cost control measure. Utilities were really where we gained a lot of things, saved a lot of money. Utilities were over $1 million back in 2005. And for the last benchmarking, it was below $1 million. It was a 7.7% decrease, but on a square footage basis, it was 17.8. And a lot of that has to do with things that Ann and I work on in terms of procurement, things GOA has done in terms of more efficient machines, even though we've increased the number of machines. Improvements we've done to HVAC and lighting projects, and just overall management and good practices. So I thought that was a pretty good win. Personnel changes, Employee turnover, and the way to look at that is that's how many times I've had to hire new people. 58. It's an average churn of about 14%. If you look at the type of jobs that we have, we're more in the fast food, lower end retail chain, and they generally go between 15 and 20%. So 14% is higher than the national average, about 7%, but not bad for the type of industry we're running. Do note that last year we had a loss of 3 custodians, 2 to heart problems, 1 to cancer. Very tragic, not really expected, but I suppose over a decade's time frame, these things do happen. I gave you a kind of a project trend for investment. Those are just numbers that were estimates, in some cases actuals in other sense. Just want to give you a sense that we spent about $950,000 on capital projects on a regular basis. And we're kind of projected to increase that over the years. So that was kind of like the last 10 years, and I just want to conclude with the next 10 years. And the one thing I want to highlight is our buildings are old now, or getting old. 10 years from now, if we don't do much, and I know we're looking at possibly doing a feasibility plan, looking more long range of things, but Lausch will be 52 years old 10 years from now. Jackson Hall 36, Lorraine 33, junior high 29. And then Reifen, one of our newer schools, will be in that zone of looking to be renovated. Senior high, again, we had multiple renovations in that one. Even our newest school by that time will be 14 years old. So things to think about as we go forward, look at feasibility, look at what we want to do, investment in facilities long term. But subject to that, I will answer your questions.
You know, it's interesting that Jackson Hall age is just 36 years when it's the original school makes it the oldest school.
Right. That's why the age in quote is basically since the last major renovation.
But the 1937 part's still there.
Yeah, that was the original building. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, if you pop the ceiling tiles on the main floor, you'll see wooden floors above that. During one of those renovations, due to fire code, they poured concrete on top of the wooden floors. But you can still see the wooden beams in that hallway if you look above the ceiling tiles, which is interesting.
Mr. Pitts?
Yes, ma'am.
Is 25 dismissed? Is that within the 10-year period? Is that what you said?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How could we then improve that as far as maybe not having to dismiss people, making sure that they're suited for the job before they start?
During the interview process, you obviously try to pick the best candidates. And I don't think we've ever tried to pick the wrong candidate.
Nope.
But sometimes you don't catch everything in an interview. I know the worst case I had was a young man presented himself very well in an interview, was an Exeter graduate, started at 7 o'clock in the morning, and at 10 o'clock the lead custodian called me over and said, "So I think we have to take the money with Steve." He says, "Steve wants to quit." He lasted 3 hours. So you can't tell. Some people do turn bad. Some people can be rehabilitated. I'd say a lot of the dismissals were people that were sent away during the probationary period that it just didn't match up for.
So what is your probationary period?
90 days.
So within 90 days you have the option to say, I don't think you're fit for this position.
Yeah.
And is that when most of these 25 are?
I don't have the exact count, but I would say easily 10 or 11 probably were in the probationary period.
Thank you.
I'll beat you on that. I had a guy walk out in 2 hours, so it happened. A couple of facilities meetings ago, maybe it was earlier this year, we discussed sort of a new administration process in the department. I don't know if it was handling workflows or something like that. Could you give us an update on how that process is working?
Well, sure. The
Ken took the lead on that, but what happened is up until I think it was around the first of the year that we went to a work order system that was all automated.
Yep.
And with the help of our technology department, we implemented that system. We outfitted our maintenance crew with, I guess, their iPhone 6s, and they can now get the work orders right on their iPhones, and they can also tell that they're done, etc. Ken has better mobility with regard to issuing work orders. They get approved by principals, they get approved by Ken almost simultaneously, or rejected depending on the need. So I think that it's a step in the right direction. We're trying to still, I guess, work out some of the kinks in terms of trying to expedite it and get it just a little bit smoother. But I think it's part of the process and it's part of our facilities plan going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
It was very, oh, sorry.
I was wondering if there was something we could do, you're gonna hate me when I say this, about the cell phone,
Reception.
out of Watton, yes, thank you, reception out of Watton. Well, you know, if I drove out of Watton and I drove across into St. Catherine's and I had cell phone reception.
That's
Now-
an intervention.
That is?
That's right.
Intervention.
So could we just put it across the street?
No, you can get reception in the parking lot. You just
No,
can't get it in the building.
I could not
You
get
got
in
to get a
that
better
parking.
carrier.
I just want to say,
I got Verizon, it's.
I have Verizon.
I have Verizon,
No
mine-
problem.
mine
How old's that
works.
phone?
Okay.
Mine works all the time.
Tell them that I should. So is there nothing we can do about this?
It really has to do with the geography and the location of the commercial towers. And until that area gets more built out and it's worthwhile for the companies to add more towers, we will likely be in a narrow window. It's just the nature. Even though it's on the top of that hill, it's actually in the valley geographically.
So what about in terms of fire or police emergency, that we just have to rely on the landlines?
In fact, the police will tell you they'd rather have a 911 call from a landline because it instantly tells their system where the phone is located. Even if it's one of our extensions into a classroom, it will point out exactly where it is.
Well, I know this has been going on. I've been in ongoing discussion. It's never happened to me. I couldn't believe it. You just drive across the street. It didn't make sense. Except I will add that this is a very nice report. I think you must be very pleased with it.
And we look forward to another report in 10 years.
Thank you, Ken.
Only Dave is saying that.
Yes.
Yes, I'll listen to your report.
Yes, Dave will be here for that report.
Well, I just want to say two things. I thought that your Mason did a terrific job on those back steps to the back parking lot, and also the refurbishing of the memorial
Yeah, that was nice.
in the end zone. I thought he did a great job on that.
He's quoting on the rain too.
Okay, good. You can't even tell that there was
The
ever
railings
an
look good.
issue there.
Those railings look good. I guess he has to put the last coat on that. Stop by to do it.
Thank you, Ken.
Thanks, Ken.
I neglected to mention in the opening, Barry Ziegler, one of the township commissioners, passed away on Sunday. Barry had been, Barry's been sick for quite a while and struggled against cancer and other diseases. He and I didn't I was going to say we didn't always agree, but I could really say we didn't often agree. But he served our community and he was definitely a man interested in the Exeter Township and its welfare. So our condolences go out to his family. And,
Well, actually, Miss Barry is an example of somebody who came in yelling and screaming and at me about everything wrong, usually about taxes or whatever expenditures, and walked out being like my new best friend. And he's one of those people that if you just listen to him and you're polite to him, he will respect you and be loyal to you always. And I really appreciated it, even though I never agreed with him either.
well,
He
sorry to hear
We
that.
send our sympathies and condolences to his family.
Yeah, for sure.
Now is the time for public comment. Would anyone like to address the board?
I have a parent concern that I said I would bring.
Okay.
It's about when the parents are notified about the bus schedules.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently it was just this week. And the parents, I just asked why we might not be able to notify them sooner in the summer. I mean, I don't have the answer.
Yeah,
I just raised this from as a parent concern.
yeah.
You know,
I'm
as
not-
they
I'm
need
not
to make
sure.
adjustments,
Yeah.
childcare arrangements and things like that.
I'd have to check. Typically, as I recall, they would go out the end of the first week in August. So this seems to be like maybe a week later than we normally would do it, but I'm not sure. I'll have to check into
Well,
it.
yeah, maybe next time we meet.
I'll
you
get
could
back to
just
you with an answer,
look at the
get back to the
process.
whole board.
Right, the routes were done, when the letters were produced and had all the information, I'll check with technology.
Yeah,
Thanks.
we'll figure it out. I wasn't
My
aware of
daughter
that.
asked me the same question. I told her the kids didn't have to be there till next week. Live with it. I don't know.
That's it.
And passion never ends.
No reason for postponing nothing.
All right.
It was character.
So sensitive, Bob.
I know, I'm just love you guys. All right, we have
Soft.
a set of minutes for July for approval. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
A motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes?
I'd just like to thank Ann for the revisions that I requested.
I will also say thank you again for your revision.
There is no more discussion. All in favor of approving the minutes for July, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The minutes are approved. We also have two policies, number 210 and 810.2, regarding medication and transportation video and audio monitoring. Are there any comments? Yes, sir.
Excuse me, we skipped the treasurer's report.
I'm so sorry.
I'm
Treasurer's
putting it aside
report.
here. Thank you.
Anything for you, Beth?
Thank you. I move the Exeter Township School District's financial statements for the period ending 7/31/2015.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on treasurer's report? All in favor of approving the report, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This report is approved. Well, the two policies are still there. One on medication, the other on video and audio monitoring of our buses. I'll entertain a motion to approve those policies at this moment.
So moved.
Second,
Motion-
Jason.
a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Mr. Critter, when they have the video and the cameras and video and the audio in place, if there is an incident there, will the bus driver have the ability to transport that right back to the school where the incident is happening so that the principal is aware of that? I've heard that there are districts that have that kind of capability.
You mean directly from the bus?
Yeah.
I don't
We would have to
think
get
so.
a video file, and you can send it via, we'd probably put it on a flash drive.
Yeah, and there's no closed circuit in the bus.
Right. And
Would that,
go to their location. You really want to be careful about what you would email and who would have access to it, because you don't want that being posted anywhere. So we'll work out those things as,
I was just wondering, because someone had said to me that they do have capability that like, say something happens on a bus that's transporting kids from, Owan Creek, and then some incident happens, that then the bus driver would be able to alert the principal that there was an incident in there, from
there's all types of capabilities.
All right, thank you.
Any further questions or discussion? We have a motion to approve the policy 210 and the policy 810.2. All in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Policies are approved. Business functions, Dr. Tamura.
Under 7A, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors exonerates Exeter Township School District tax collector from the collection of the remaining 2014 per capita duplicate for St. Lawrence Borough, consisting of 190 delinquent per capita or $1,900 of unpaid taxes and 123 exonerated per capita bills, and authorize the district to submit the delinquent per capita bills to Berkheimer Associates for collection. Prior year consisted of 198, which dollar amount was 1,980 delinquent per capita and 132 exonerated per capita bills.
Second.
Motion and second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of exonerating the tax collector in St. Lawrence, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under 7B, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves the disposal of a Hobart dishwasher and booster heater, which is in poor condition. The dishwasher was purchased in 1981 at a cost of $10,901 and is fully depreciated.
Second. Motion is second, any discussion?
Just a question. Usually depreciation is a tax issue. Where would depreciation ever come into our discussion, given that we're a non-taxable entity?
This obviously is food service, an enterprise fund, and we record depreciation
Oh.
on the books for them.
But it's not taxable, is it?
No, not at all. We just depreciate the assets and we record we show the cost, the accumulated depreciation, and the book value. And I think at one point, one of the board members had asked to know, well, what is the remaining balance, the book value of the asset if we were disposing of something. So I was just showing that there is no value on the books.
Any further questions or comments? All in favor of disposing of the equipment, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under 7C, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approve the property tax refund in the amount of $189.91 to the property owner Carl Snyder for homestead relief that was left off of his 2014 tax bill.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor of providing the refund, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Under 7D, it is recommended that the Board of School Directors approves an annual service agreement with Siemens Industry, Inc. in the amount of $26,960 to support and maintain the building automation system at Jackson Wald Elementary and Wadden Creek Elementary. The annual cost is 3% higher than the prior year contract with Siemens.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the Siemens contract, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
7E is easy. There is a link attached for information on the candidates for PSBA officers and at-large representatives.
We do want board to vote. We can vote tonight, or we can wait until next month. Next month would be. There's a president-elect position, vice president, and a position representative for the East.
I feel even if we don't look at it, we at least ought to go through the motions and consider moving we might vote for. So I recommend that we vote on it next month.
Do anyone know any of these candidates?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know the person's name over? The running vice president? Running for vice president?
This guy running for vice president, yeah. I don't know his name.
John Long?
Yes, that's him.
Do you know him?
I know him.
You could recommend him then?
He is as qualified as PSBA needs.
That's good enough for me.
It's not exactly a hyper.
Anyone know anyone else? Do you know anyone, Mr. Dixon?
Yeah, I know Mr. Miller, I think, Mark Miller, I think. He's on the Centennial Board, I think he will,
Yeah, he's on
he will
Centennial.
serve the organization quite well. As you know, they move through these positions
Right.
in order to get them ready for that kind of stuff. I also like the fact that he's from the East.
Do you know the guy from Norristown by any chance? Or
Yes.
Haverford?
Yeah, Larry, Fiber is, he's the founder of that policy group that sends you, where you get all those recent news articles in one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done extremely well there. He was the All-Wine winner last year, the Tim All-Wine Award is an advocacy award presented by PSBA. And Larry has been extremely active, particularly in advocacy meetings. And Haverford, although it's a different school district, has really a good common array of problems. He knows what's happening in the world of education. He really does. He's also extremely active in the Philadelphia community.
Is he the one that was sending us from Region 8 or something, all the different?
No, I don't think so.
No.
It was probably the guy from Bethlehem.
Oh, exactly.
Oh, yeah, Bob Bold.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
All right, if you review those at your leisure, we'll vote on next month. So, thank you, Dr. Tamura. Dr. Bender, personnel.
Part A, retirement. I move that the Board of School Directors approve the retirement of Gloria Clay effective November 13th, 2015.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
I'd just like to thank Gloria for her 30
Have we,
some odd years of service. 30 some years, 28 years.
No, with the district, she's been in business a long time, but the district is 16.
I'd like to thank her for 16 years of service.
She was at St. Joe's.
And we will recognize that service appropriately. So, did we vote on it?
No.
All in favor of approving Ms. Clay's retirement, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve or ratify the following resignations. Number 1, certificate staff, and number 2, extracurricular staff.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the resignations, please indicate so by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the following appointments under certificate staff number 1 through 7.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of approving the appointments as indicated, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the substitute teacher list as attached. The first part to be the certificated teachers.
Second.
Motion and second. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of approving the certificated teachers, please indicate so by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the substitute teacher list of the guest teachers on the attachment.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Discussion.
I'd like to know why we have so many guest teachers with so many teachers, I'm sure, that are certificated looking for jobs.
These are coming back from last year. Their emergency certificates were approved again. So none of these are new in that sense. And I think the teachers who have been is newly certified are coming, when it comes to the reality that there isn't a permanent job out there. We're getting more and more calls every day from those new teachers asking to be placed on the substitute list.
Okay, so then these are just teachers, guest
Right.
teachers that you had last
Yeah,
year?
there are tried and trues that have been with us, you know, over the years. And the IU gets their emergency certs renewed every year, so we bring them back to you every year to approve them. Okay.
The short answer is the certificated teachers don't apply for the job because they feel they can get better.
Oh, I don't know about that, Mr.
Well, you know, I think I've said this before, but I do want it to be noted that with using as many who will agree to work for us, certificated people, and then going to the guest teachers and exhausting every possibility there are many days that we're still short substitute teachers. And if we didn't have that other pool to draw on, I don't know how we would manage, to be perfectly honest with you.
Not for September or October when we start to get into
Right.
November.
Right.
You know, we really need.
Is there
all
any
hands on
further
deck.
discussion?
No, just a comment, I would like to agree with Dr. Martin. I think it's extremely important for the effective operation of the school district that we have a teacher in the classroom every day. And if that's a substitute teacher, then we need to have the resources in order to fill each one of those positions. I think we need to do what we need to do, and I think the guest teachers are a viable solution that I think we should be grateful to those people for doing the job that they do.
Any further comments? All in favor of approving the guest teacher list, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
The motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the appointments of the support staff, number 1 and 2, school health services, number 1 and 2, and the extracurricular staff, 1 through 4.
Second.
I have motion and second. Any discussion?
I have a question regarding the number of hours to be determined on the bus drive. What's that determination based?
Will be based on what route they made and then being assigned to.
Okay. And Bob, there's one I need to abstain on, so I don't know if we can break that one out or not. Social school health services number 2.
School health services number 2. All right, any further discussion? We will be voting on the appointment of all appointees less school health services number 2 nurse. All in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The appointments are approved. Now we are now voting on approval of the school health services number 2. All in favor indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Mr. Quinter, could I just make a comment? I'd just like to publicly thank Mr. Japina for helping make that possible. We've been trying to find a school physician since last April or May, and after many letters, phone calls, and visits, I was not successful, but Mr. Japina made it happen, so I just want to thank you for helping us with that. Welcome.
Thank you, Michael. I heard that he threatened to take the guy's office away from him. There's no truth to that, I'm sure.
Mike, who is this Penn State group?
It's us.
I know that's you, but who?
Who are the doctors?
It's Penn State, the physician will end up being Dr. Robin Savon
Okay,
for
thank
St.
you.
Lawrence Medical Services.
We approve.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the following leave of absence. Certificate staff, number 1, Brett Diamond, and support staff, number 1, Sharon Lucis.
Second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
Can I just make a slight adjustment? The actual dates for Sharon Lowndes is in September 9th to December 9th.
Thank
You
you.
agree to that modification?
Yes.
And the second, you agree to that, sir? Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the leaves of absence, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the following change of status. Number 1, certificated staff, Therese Nab, and support staff number 1 through 12.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the changes, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors appoint Todd M. Davies to a 3-year, 3-month term effective April 2nd, 2016 through June 30th, 2019 as Assistant Superintendent for terms and conditions specified in a properly executed agreement.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of renewal, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimously carried.
Thank you.
Welcome back. Well, I tell you, didn't go somewhere.
You're welcome to stay.
Was never noted.
It was an extension earned by your performance in the past. We thank you for the one-to-one program, the new math program, and the STEM program, which you ran routed through for us. Appreciate it.
I don't know, he didn't leave and I didn't know it. I think I went to.
You haven't been paying attention again.
Oh, that's right, I forgot to mention.
Part G, I move that the Board of School Directors approve the following additional hours for the following computer aids listed under Part G.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I move the Board of School Directors approve the following staff conferences as listed under Part H, number 1 through 6.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, there was some conversation last week about Dr. Miller. Do you have conferences at night that you're staying at the university?
Do they have part of the conferences at night?
Yeah.
No, they don't. The conferences, the actual presentations, and usually around 4, and then there's an open area where vendors are, usually until about 6.
Because it has your lodging for $500.
It's for 2 nights, for Wednesday night and Thursday night.
Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the conferences as listed, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
That completes personnel.
Thank you, Dr. Bender. Student functions, Mrs. Kutcher.
I move that the following field trip, which is beyond the 60-mile radius, be approved to Matson Senior High School varsity and junior varsity cheerleading teams to travel to Disney World, Florida, February the 4th to the 8th, 2016. It's the cheerleading championships. It would be nice if they were champions. That's not what we have done.
Do I have a second?
Inspired second.
Can't do it virtually.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor of the cheerleaders going to Florida, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries.
Yeah.
Bad cheer.
Grinch.
Item B, I move that the Board of Directors approves the senior high handbook for distribution to the students.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes. I have a question on page 23. It says computer system use agreement. And under definitions, number 2, it says the internet is an electronic highway. Students or teachers have access to, and then everything following that is crossed out.
23, you said?
Page 23 to page 24.
It's an improper sentence. I see
Yeah,
what
they
they're
kind of-
trying to say.
So maybe,
Could you have somebody finish the sentence?
You're right, it seems like either that or the whole number 2 should be eliminated.
yeah. I mean, I have no problem voting in favor of this, just
Right, right.
that could be
Yeah,
checked.
I went through it and I caught a couple things, and I talked to Bill about them, and this I did not see. Well, I didn't see that, it just kind of hung there in the air.
Any further discussion? All in favor of approving the handbook, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item C, I move that the Board of Directors approve a tuition agreement between New Story Kenhurst and the Exeter Township School District. Special Education Services for students number 140-373-160500 and student 230154 for the 2015-16 school year at a cost of $295 a day per student. And for student number 170515 for the 2015-16 school year at a cost of $195 a day. The annual tuition per student at the daily rate of $295 for 182 days is $53,690, for a total of $161,070 for 3 student placements. Annual tuition for the student placement at the daily rate of $195 for 182 days is $35,490.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
I want to thank you, Ann, for getting the numbers we get.
All in favor of approving the tuition agreement with New Story Kenhurst, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item D, I move that the Board of Directors approves a tuition agreement between New Story Wyomissing and the Exeter Township School District for special education services for student number 134551 and 151419 for the 2015-16 school year at a cost of $375 per day per student, for a total of $136,500 for 2 student placements.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the tuition agreement with New Story Wyomissing, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item E, I move that the Board of Directors approve a tuition agreement between Colgan Learning Academy LLC and the Exeter Township School District for special education services for student number 221165 and 190325 and 141366 for the 2015-16 school year at a cost of $375 per student per day. The annual tuition is for 181 days is $67,875 per student, for $203,625 for 3 placements.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes. Question. In reviewing these numbers, obviously these last 3 items, including this one, we're considering over $500,000 worth of fees for student education. In a typical year, what's our expenditure, what are we anticipating this year we could have? And of that, what will we be reimbursed by the state possibly percentage-wise?
Well, I can only give you a number based on 14-15 tuition for private placements of $1,562,000. It's hard for me to know at this point what it will actually be because I have not received the full list of all the placements for this year.
And there may still be more to come, who knows?
Right. I mean, our budget really is based upon what we were experiencing in 14-15, with the knowledge that some students graduated out. So as far as what is reimbursed by the state, I mean, we do have 4 positions which are the 60-40, where the state will pick up 60%. So, and usually 60% of what, $50,000 is the typical
40 to
placement.
50. And then the contingency fund sometimes, but that's been declining a lot, but we used to get some money.
And we don't know yet what special education, what the funding will be for 15-16, so I can't answer.
That's good. Thank you.
Dr. Mark, can I ask a question? I have seen in some public forums that the district has been taken to task by people regarding special education. And I wondered if you could just explain how that process works. The situation I'm thinking in particular, that family did go through the process here, and they were you made judgment based on assessments. Could you just, for the an abbreviated version, just sort of help people to understand what goes into these types of placements in terms of assessments?
And for a situation where a student may be entering kindergarten, let's say with a disability through the BCIU Early Intervention Program, and Dr. Miller, please jump in, we work, and Mrs. Willier as well, we work with the folks at BCIU to really assess the student's needs prior to entering kindergarten, and we take great measures to assure that we have everything in place that the students will need to make a smooth transition to the school district. And we do we do the IEP, and we ensure that anything that's in the existing IEP and that is still appropriate is taken care of. And we monitor the children carefully once they come to Exeter, and anything new that comes up as an issue, we address that, and we work very closely with the parents after they enter our system. What am I missing, Dr. Miller?
You did a good job there.
Okay.
Pretty much summarized it.
Yeah. And Dr. Miller has also let me know that the family that you're referencing, Dr. Miller has met with them and Mrs. Willier as recently as today, and there is an agreement now on the needs of the child and how we are to be addressing them. So we seem to all be on the same page at this point.
Thank you.
I think it's also worth noting that there is a portion of that budget that is actually not special education students. Those are our AEDY students. So those are disciplinary removals, but they may not be a special education student, and they still fall into that category of our out-of-district placement, so that's part of that number. But it's not really part of the special education program.
Yeah, it's how many of
it's
those?
It's for drugs, weapons, and serious bodily harm offenses. And I've only done this for a year, so last year we had we had 2 big ones. So we probably had 8 to 10 students last year. Typically that's a short term, it's a 45-day, but sometimes those students don't make progress for that time and have to stay until they meet their goals.
So any further discussion?
I have a question about how the length of the school year is determined for these students, because this motion has 181 days, but when we approved the Part C, it was 182 days.
I think it depends on the school year of the institution where they're attending. Am I correct?
And they follow that school's calendar, not ours.
Right, correct.
So I do have a question, are we able, for any of these services, are we able to bill out insurance, health insurance, or Medicaid for their services, or is that just all
Some of the access?
Yes.
We bill access for some of these services, anything that's related to speech, occupational therapy, behavior specialist, and personal care assistance. We get the billing information from in-house with some of our outside agencies, and we can submit for that.
I know it's probably not a great deal on return, but
not a lot, no.
But do you have any idea what
I
percent?
know, because the student also has to be qualified access recipient, have the access card. And they have to, the parent has to apply for that every year to be a qualified person that we can bill for, and the parent has to give
Do
us
we
permission.
insist that they apply for the?
No, we cannot insist they apply. And even if they have the card, we cannot insist that they give us permission. We've had parents who turn the permission down to allow us to bill.
Is that a state law?
That they are allowed to deny us permission, it's probably insurance law.
Interesting. Okay.
The question on the floor is the approval of the tuition. Oh, I'm sorry, is there any additional questions, comments? We're considering the tuition agreement with the Hope Learning Academy. All in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item F, I move that the Board of Directors approves an agreement between NHS Pennsylvania and the Exeter Township School District to provide educational services for district students who require severe emotional and/or severe autistic support services in an alternative school environment for the 2015-16 school year at a cost of $156.36 per day per student.
Second.
A motion and a second. Discussion? All in favor of approving the agreement with NHS, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item G. I move that the Board of Directors approves an agreement between the Exeter Township School District and Pediatric Services of America to provide nursing services to the district for the 2015-16 school year at a cost of $55 per hour per nurse. The district will require the services of a full-time RN in a multidisciplinary classroom at an estimated annual cost of $72,000.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
So is this a new requirement for multi-disability, or is this related specifically to a student?
I believe it's related specifically to a student.
Two of our students require intense nursing care services, and so that's something that we budget for in the district in our MDS platform, multiple disabilities platform.
Questions. Is this something where we could possibly benefit by just hiring a nurse to work for us instead of farming this service out to a group at less cost?
I doubt it would be less cost with what nurses may cost per hour, and then there's no PZers, there's no, this is just a straight line cost with all the back costs of anyone being hired, it would probably cost us more.
Any further discussion or comments? All in favor of approving the nursing contract, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item H. I move that the Board of Directors approves the adoption of a settlement agreement and release to pay for legitimate educational expenses in the amount of $56,407.26 as defined by the agreement for student number 160364 in a form acceptable to the solicitor, and to settle all claims raised by the student and parents, and authorize the board president and secretary to execute that settlement agreement and release on behalf of the district.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the settlement H, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item I, I move the Board of Directors approves the hearing officer's order for student number 160364 dated June 2nd, 2015 for reimbursement of tuition and transportation costs for the private school in which the student is enrolled for the 2014-15 school year, and reimbursement of the costs of the private neuropsychological evaluation and transition assessment. Total reimbursement not to exceed $51,000.
Do I have a second? Since the motion has not gained a second, it will not come before this board. Continue, please.
Item J. I move that the Board of Directors approves the hearing officer's order for student number 190399 dated June 5, 2015, for one, reimbursement of all costs of students' education at the private school in which the student is enrolled for the 2014-15 and 15-16 school years, including ESY services for the summer 2015 and charges for additional services. 2, reimbursement of all costs for transporting a student to the private school for each day student attended during the 2014-15 school year and each day student attends the 2015 ESY program. And 3, reimbursement of all costs of the independent evaluation. Total reimbursement costs not to exceed $151,650. $115,650.
Dyslexia gets you every time.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just a comment. It's a comment about this part of the agenda. I would just like to hope that now, if the public was here, at some point, I think what we need to do is to somehow raise the awareness of the public. This is symptomatic of a broken system. And it's throwing away resources from the students of the Exeter Township, and it's driving our local taxes up. And at some point, I think people need to realize, when you start looking down just the numbers on this agenda, the totality of these numbers is significant. Go ahead, Albert.
Any
Yes.
further comments? I would point out that there's no doubt that the children need the assistance. However, the system for providing that is not the most desirable, in my opinion. All in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 7-2.
Item K, I move that the Board of Directors approves the adoption of a settlement agreement and release to pay for legitimate educational expenses in the amount of $57,000 as defined by the agreement for student number 160392 in a form acceptable to the solicitor, and to settle all claims raised by the student and parents, and authorize the board president and secretary to execute that settlement agreement and release on behalf of the district.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item L, I move that the Board of Directors approve the request of Ms. Lori Buck to allow her son Dalton Spittler to attend the senior high school as a tuition student for the 2015-16 school year.
Second.
A motion is second. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Item M, reporting that Rochelle Wright, a senior, has been given permission to attend the Exeter Township Senior High School as a non-resident student for the 2015-16 school year in accordance with policy number 202, eligibility of non-resident students.
Second.
Vote is a policy. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Mrs. Kutcher.
She's got a question. I did have a question. Is this a senior?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Curriculum program, thank you, Mrs. Kutcher. Curriculum program, Mr. Deasinger?
No
It's
report.
just reporting it.
Curriculum committee, Mr. Deasinger?
Yes, our last meeting was held on August 4th. I believe all of you should have received the minutes from that meeting. There was some conversation at the beginning of that meeting that I thought that was of note concerning the recent PSSA results that the district had received. And there was some math and STEM conversation at the meeting, and also professional development. And I think there's a lot of good things going on curriculum-wise. And I look forward to that continuing. And the next committee meeting is September 1st. Thank you much.
Thank you very much. Technology, Mr. Chapin.
Yes, I'd like to report that 878 Chromebooks were distributed. There are still some that have yet to be distributed. Several volunteer trainings were conducted, both for the students and their parents. There will be resources available to assist on day one, and they've invited Pat because she'd like to come and learn more about a Chromebook. There will be
They need an extra year's one.
or John needs to go too. They will offer Chromebook support desks for the first few days that school is open, just to make sure that people are comfortable with them. And there will be a update on that at the curriculum overview on September 10th.
Thank you, sir. BCIU, I'd like to report that they are broke.
Ready?
According to news polls.
Well, they do not receive all of they don't levy taxes.
Yes.
So all of their money comes in the form of either we give it to them or the state gives it to them. The state is not forthcoming. I threatened to withhold our money, just out of principle, but they didn't file on that. So, other than that, no report.
Well, but it certainly does raise an interesting point. People were talking about no property tax and having all money come from the state. This is just a really good indicator of what can happen.
Athletic committee, Mr. Stowe.
We had a meeting on the 6th down at the stadium. You have your minutes. It was brief, but the facility, the improvements were made. The track is in. It looks very good. Painting as well. The scoreboard is now up. We will be having a ribbon cutting ceremony preceding the first football game, which is September 4th, to recognize Hamid Chaudhry for his generosity. We also are going to recognize our other advertisers and thank them as well. We made a decision as a group not to use the electronic advertising for the current school year. We want to figure out how to use the equipment. We will use it just to use it to talk about book fairs or concerts or whatever things within the school district. So that way we can kind of cut our teeth using it that way without collecting money and disappointing folks. And with that, we will be maintaining our advertising rates and then looking at revisiting those next year when we have a pretty good idea of how to use the new equipment, and then dovetail the electronic advertising with the current advertising we have in place. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Legislative liaison, township liaison. The 25th will be the continuation of the zoning hearing board meeting on the new transportation facility, which the supervisors assured me in January of 2014 was not going to be a problem. So we intend to sue the supervisors. Any?
Did you get that in writing?
Yeah, it's in the minutes. Public relations, Mr. Kramer.
You have your copy of the 15-16 calendar at your place this evening. We'll be distributing those to the youngest child in each family on the first day of school. And thanks to the 24 advertisers who helped pay for the calendar, that reduced the district's cost per copy to 34 cents. So, all right. Thanks to all the advertisers.
Thank you, sir.
That's beautiful.
BCTC, Mr. Teaser.
Yeah, actually, not a whole lot to report. When we had hired the new executive director from an internal candidate, and there was just this domino effect of positions and position changes, and that coupled with people that had left. We are finished hiring, and and BCTC is fully staffed and ready to start the school year.
Thank you, sir. Facilities, Mr. Brady.
We'll be having our next meeting on September 9th, starting at 6:30 p.m. at the senior high school. The agenda will be published sometime between now and beginning the members of the committee.
Thank you, sir. Anything from the audit committee, Pat?
Yes, we will be getting together with the two other gentlemen, and is getting a hold of them, and when we got everything ready, we'll find out what Gally wants to do, and we'll probably look at the audit work and take it from there. Give you a report, and we find out what's left.
Thank you, ma'am. Payment requests?
Yes, the papers here. We need to pay our bills. We have no voided checks this month, which is good. We have a total listed payment from the general fund of $1,037,592.72. We have nothing from the capital account. We have 2014 capital project fund, $8,721.98. And a Watton Creek Elementary School, $149,340.31. So I ask for a second to pay these bills.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of paying the bills, please indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Martin.
Thank you. Well, things are really hopping in the school district at this point, and in this building today, we had a full house. All of the new teachers that we've hired over the summer and their mentors were here in attendance for the first new teacher orientation day. And Betty and also Lori Mignani, one of our teachers, did a presentation this afternoon on the new teacher evaluation system. And the rest of the day was spent with introductions to all the administrators and general overview of the school district and some of the procedures, and obviously just doing some housekeeping things like signing up for benefits and making sure everybody understands, you know, what it takes to start being a new teacher in Exeter. And there was some information presented on lesson plans and all kinds of things I heard today, and it was all well received. I think everybody probably left with their head spinning, but that's why they have a mentor, and that's why they have the whole year to get used to what we're doing here. So it was a very successful day, and tomorrow they'll be working with our technology folks to get their laptops and learn Skyward and the process for entering grades and taking attendance, et cetera, plus some other things as well. That being said, all of our teachers' first day will be Monday, the 24th, next Monday. So what we typically do is we welcome the new teachers. We welcome all teachers back at the high school, beginning at 8 in the morning. Mr. Quinter will be in attendance, and he usually does a brief welcome to all the teachers, and you know, as well as introducing the new teachers to the entire staff. And then we have a lunch, which you're all welcome to attend any portion of the morning. We start off in the cafeteria with a little continental breakfast. Then we move to the auditorium for the presentations and the introductions and so forth. And then we move back to the caf at 11 a.m., between 11 and 12 for lunch. So anyone who has the time and would like to stop by for a portion of that or all of it to have lunch or to welcome back, or both, to welcome back the teachers and you know, anything else you'd like to do, you're more than welcome. After lunch, they disperse to their individual buildings and typically have faculty meetings and so forth at the school level. So, and the kids come Wednesday, most importantly. we're excited to welcome them back on Wednesday morning.
Did they share your enthusiasm?
The teachers or the kids? Absolutely. The first day they do. By Friday,
Thank you, Dr. Martin.
Dr. Martin,
Yes.
have you heard anything about the preschool, or is that all on hold because of the budget?
yes, yes, we have not heard anything yet. I know Mrs. Cook is chomping at the bit to find out and hopefully receive some good news, but we haven't heard anything yet. And we have to figure out, well, what are we gonna do if we hear in November? Are we gonna start in the middle of the year or what, you know? So we'll have to work with the BCIU and, you know, I'm being optimistic and assuming we will eventually get something, but we'll see what happens. I'll definitely keep everyone posted.
Are there any other matters to be brought to the board?
I have a question. I was in Harrisburg on Saturday, and there were some other school board members there, and then I also saw something in an email that I had. The Bethlehem School District in particular has been complaining about having to make charter school payments on time, considering
With
the
the
budget.
budget,
Yeah,
yeah.
the budget. I was wondering if that has any impact on us, or are we experiencing the same kind of thing?
Well, we've been down this road before, if you remember, I guess during, what was it, the Rendell administration, when the budget wasn't approved till like November or something like that. You know, we're able to make all of our payments and, you know, because, I guess, maybe it's a bad thing, but there are districts who get the greatest portion of their money from the state,
Right.
like Reading or even Bethlehem.
Yes,
certainly,
absolutely.
and they're, you know, without the money coming from the state, they're going to be really hard pressed to make their bill payments. But we get so little from the state. It obviously makes a big difference to us, but not to the extent that it would to a district like Reading that gets like 80% of their funding from the state.
But those payments have a due date you were expecting to meet.
Correct. Yeah, no one's given us a grace period because we don't have money from the state.
We did have a question come up regarding the payment into the return fund. And apparently the law reads that you will make the payment 5 days after you receive the state's reimbursement for the prior year. So given that we won't be receiving reimbursement, I still think it's wise probably if we had the money to, I don't know what we gotta do.
That's right, because we'll be doubling up next year when there's no budget.
We have, in the past, you know, we have made the payment, and as Bev stated, our district, obviously, we receive, you know, 80-some% of our tax revenue. You know, we're in a position where we'll be able to make the payments. I don't see any reason to withhold, but I did see that.
One recommendation was that you make a payment for the difference between what you expected from the state and what your actual total due was. But it's probably
Sounds
best
like a
to
lot of
just make it-
bookkeeping.
Yeah. So, any other matters come before the board? I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Second. Done. Thank you very much.